We are doing it live from the Central Rock Gym in Watertown, Massachusetts. This is the final round of the 2016 USA Climbing Sport and Speed National Championships. I'm Brian Reynolds.
And I'm Chris Widener.
And welcome everybody to our broadcast booth. Tonight we're going to crown a national champion from a field of 11 men and 12 women. And a little later we have our Speed National Championships as well, so do not miss that. But to get things started, we're going to go down to our in-house MC, Brian Rafferty, to get things started. Raf, take it away.
People, it is about that time. Welcome to the 2016 USA Climbing Sport and Speed Open Nationals Finals. First things first, we got to get this tarp out of the way for you and the competitors to see what they have before them. So we're going to need a good countdown from you all. Let's start that at 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop that tarp. Now, without further ado, we would like to announce and bring out our finalists for this evening. Starting off for the ladies, let's give it up for Zoe Steinberg. Next up for the guys, we have the one, the only, Garrett Greggor. Next up for the ladies, we have Audrey Miller. For the guys, we have Andrew Nimmer. Coming out next for the ladies, we have Julia Talbot. Next male competitor, we have Carlo Traversi. Next up for the ladies, we have local climber Katie Lamb. Next up for the guys, we have Isaac Tresco. Next up for the ladies, your reigning speed national champion, Sidney Trinidad. Next up for the guys, you know him, you love him, Shane Messer. Next up for the girls, CRG native, we have Bimini Horstman. Coming out next for the guys, we have Dalton Bunker. Moving right along to our next female competitor, Grace McKeehan. Next out for the guys, the delightful Jessie Grupper. Coming out next for the ladies, we have Claire Buhrfeind. Next out for the guys, Drew Ruana. Next out for the ladies, Kyra Condie. Next out for the guys, the boy wonder himself, Lightner. Coming out next for the girls, we have Margo Hayes. Next out for the guys, the crazy Canadian, Elan Jonas Mcrae. Next out for the ladies, Michaela Kiersch. Our final male competitor for this evening, Sean Bailey. And last out for the ladies, your reigning national champion, Delaney Miller. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you your 2016 Sport and Speed Open Nationals finalists. Give it up for them. And at this time, we are going to begin our 6-minute preview for the finalists now. If you were not around with us earlier today for the semifinals, this is an on-site format.
And there you have it, our finalists for the 2016 USAC Sport National Championship. And right now the climbers are going to take 6 minutes to preview this finals route. This is their first and only chance to get a look at what they're in store for here tonight. And we're joined in the booth to give us some insight into the routes that the climbers are about to take a look at by Brett Johnson. Brett, welcome to the booth there.
Welcome, Brett.
Well, yeah, thank you, and yeah, I'm psyched to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, so the format for this competition is an on-site comp. So these competitors, as Brian just mentioned, only get this 6 minutes to check out the route, mime it up, talk to other competitors. What do you think is going through the minds of the men and the women when they first look at the routes that you've helped set?
Well, I think they're just trying to find the path of least resistance up the wall. You know, there's a lot of holds on the wall. These routes are ranging between 50 and 60 moves each, and they have to do their best to try to look at every single hold and realize every possibility and try to find the easiest way.
Now, in the semifinals, there were quite a few holds that the competitors had never seen before. They were new holds, and that was how they're designed. Is that the case as well in the finals tonight?
Yeah, we've got some really cool new holds from Technic and E-Grips. Technic is featured on the men's route, and there's some great shapes coming up when we look at the route here. And then E-Grips is featured in the female route, and there's also some really great new stuff from them.
So let's talk about the route on the left. That's the men's route, the Technic route that you're just talking about. Walk us through what the men can expect to find on this route.
Well, it starts out with a bang. There's just a dyno straight off the bat. Even Kai is probably going to have to jump there.
Nice.
And then we go straight into some new slopers called the Plats. They're really delicate, very bouncy. And yeah, you just kind of traverse right from there. As soon as you get into the steeper section of the wall there, we get into a couple more volumes, some really cool structures made in-house actually.
Nice.
We tried to kind of replicate the look of the actual Technic Star logo. That's their representation, and we got a little artsy with it, but it's kind of there, hidden in there.
I love it.
Talk about the approach you guys take with these routes. You're trying to build towards something. What's the mindset when you're setting out the finals route?
Well, first we want to make a really great show for the competitors and for the crowd, of course. And then we're just trying to build a really functional route that's going to divide the field as evenly as possible without bottlenecks, as in climbers falling in the same spot over and over. And hopefully having a really great result of just one climber finishing this route, and we're crowning a champion of the best climber in the country.
Nice, nice. Where do you expect kind of the majority of the men to be falling on that route?
Well, if we did our jobs right as route setters, we'll be seeing falls in a lot of different spots. So I expect the bulk of them to get to our first little star in the steep section, and then hopefully we see a lot of different falls as we move up the wall.
All right, and how about moving on to the women's finals route? What's that going to be like?
We got a lot of really cool new shapes from E-Grips on this one. Some great new shapes out of the bubble wrap line from Typhus. Those are very well-renowned shapes, and I'm really excited to be able to set with some new ones this year. As you move up the wall, this one should just be really pumpy. There's a little bit of power mixed in there. There's some really kind of funky stuff that maybe the girls haven't seen this week, and we're excited to see them navigate through.
Nice. Were there any particular challenges in the women's field trying to set a route that would separate them? Because there's definitely some different shapes and sizes and heights with the women.
Yeah, I mean, we have a really diverse field of female competitors in this competition. We're trying to do our best to separate the field, and there's some really strong climbers at the top of the field that are hard to separate. We're just trying our best to get that end result.
Awesome.
And Brett, who's the team that you work with this week to set these routes all weekend?
Leading up the team as a chief route setter was Luke Bertelson. As far as the two assistants helping him out were myself and Ryan Sewell out of Boulder, Colorado. We also had a setter, Jonathan Brandt, out of Nashville, Tennessee. Rosie Bates from Mesa Rim in San Diego. And we also had a setter from this gym, Central Rock, Nick Orange, who's been helping us out. We also had a really great ground crew running from Central Rock that helped us out a lot, and just like if we needed stuff on the ground. Our main man, Hunter, we have dubbed the Honey Badger. He's been a great help to us as well.
Well, that's great. The route setter's done a great job all weekend. We're really looking forward to seeing the show tonight here. So, Brett, thanks to you and the rest of the team for your work this week.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks a lot, Brett Johnston, for stopping by,
Yeah,
giving us
Brett.
the route setter's insight into this final round, which will be getting underway in just a few minutes here. The athletes completing their route preview. You can see them sort of doing different, pantomiming moves, conferring with each other, which is kind of a unique thing to climbing, where they're sharing actually ideas, thoughts about how they're going to approach different sections of the route.
Yep. And it was great talking with Brett Johnston, a.k.a. Eric Northman from True Blood. I just got to say, he looks just like him. But yeah, that was a good one, having him talk about the routes. It's nice to kind of know something about them before we start the finals here.
As we said, we've been building towards this since yesterday's qualifying round. We started with 25 women yesterday and 50 men. We're now down to 12 women and 11 men for this finals round. Competitors climbed 2 routes during qualifiers yesterday, and then 1 semifinal route this morning. And then they're back here for 1 more route during finals. Whoever gets the highest is going to win, take home the national championship and part of a $20,000 cash purse. So there's a lot on the line here tonight, as well as a spot on the U.S. national team. That's what we're also building towards as we get this final underway. Chris, let's talk a little bit about the respective fields here for the women. Like I said, we started with 25. We're down to 12. Who are some of the people that you're really looking for in the finals here?
You know, Brian, that's a really tough question, because basically out of the top 7 women in the finals, 6 of them were also in the finals last year. And you can just simply swap Alex Puccio from last year with Michaela Kiersch, who actually came in 2nd so far. Really, I hate to say that it's anybody's game, because that's so cliche, but really anyone in the top 5 or 6 I could totally imagine on the podium. But if I had to roll the dice, I don't know. Delaney looked really strong. She definitely came out with a solid lead in the semis, where, all top 5 of the women performed very well. But Delaney was the clear leader there, and it wouldn't surprise me if she was again. Yeah,
Delaney was clearly out in front during semifinals, but she's got to come out and do it once again during finals. A lot of pressure on her as the 3-time defending champion.
Especially from Margo Hayes, who has also shown a super strong finish in this and other comps recently.
And quickly for the men, we started with 50. We're down to 11. A nice mix of new and old faces in finals here tonight. Some people that were here last year, as well as our number 1 qualifier, who is in his first adult national, Sean Bailey.
Amazing.
Really looking forward to seeing how the men are going to do, but we are going to get started with the women since we have 12 female competitors in finals here. We're going to get started with Zoe Steinberg, our first competitor out in our final round, Chris.
That's right. She is actually 20 years old, from Ramsey, New Jersey. 5'4". She was 5th place in last year's Dark Horse bouldering finals, which was actually at the end of the year, November, December. She was 2nd place in last year's ABS Youth Nationals, 3rd place in 2014 Sport Nationals Youth. She is a strong competitor, very experienced, especially in the last few years. Zoe Steinberg climbed super strong in the semifinals. I'm excited to watch her tonight.
Zoe Steinberg giving us the first look at this women's finals route. As Brett said, very long and pumpy looking. The route setters really took advantage of the entire surface that they had to work with here at Central Rock. Big sweeping walls.
These walls are 50 feet tall, and if you're doing, didn't Brett say like 45 or 55 moves on these walls? That's a lot of moves, and they're just going side to side, making them tricky. They're not at all obvious to read, so this is going to be exciting to watch because we know that a lot of these women are going to be doing different things on this wall. It's got to be stressful being the first competitor out there.
At least you have the relief to know that you get to set the first high point. Crowd is going to be psyched for every hold you get.
That's right.
They are packed in here at Central Rock. They were lined up around the corner outside, waiting to get in before the doors opened about an hour ago. As we have our first male competitor off on the wall, that's Garrett Greggor out of Boulder, Colorado, a 29-year-old climber.
Starts off with a bang in the words of Brett Johnston. Garrett jumping off the ground.
Zoe looks like she just pulled the volume off the wall. I'm not sure what that was.
Was that a hold? Or was that just a poster?
It looked like a volume.
Oh my.
That is not by design, folks. Looks like she's just going to keep going. The competitors, if there is an issue with any of the holds on the wall, they do have the ability to call a technical and come down and go again, but it looks like whatever happened there with Zoe did not impede her progress.
Yeah.
So she's just going to keep going.
And she's keeping a cool head with that one. If that really was a hold like we think it might have been, that was insane. That hasn't happened in as far long as I can remember. Got the double daggers. Zoe's got the double dagger underclings. A pretty unique situation here. Certainly juggy and interesting, as Brett pointed out.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
those are big holds, but they're on a very strenuous part of the wall. Probably the steepest section over there for the women. She moved through there very quickly as Garrett moving smoothly up the men's route, getting near the section where Brett thought the difficulties would start for the men. Zoe moving quickly near the top of this steepest section here at Central Rock.
Garrett Greggor getting high on this route. These guys are already much higher than the first competitors got in the semifinal routes. This is really interesting. I'm wondering if these routes are possibly even easier than the semis and the qualifiers.
Oh, that's going to be it for Garrett Greggor, about halfway up the men's final route as Zoe Steinberg still powering her way up this women's final route. Coming off about 2/3 of the way up. Great job by Zoe Steinberg.
Yeah, we're about to find out what's happening with that hold that apparently came off. We will update you as soon as we find out.
The way things are going to work tonight is as soon as the competitors are done, the next climber will come out. So it will be a continuous action here. Once, looks like they're going to go up and fix whatever happened there. So nearly continuous action.
That's right. Huh.
And then send Brett pulling double duty here in the booth and then back out on the floor. Going to go up the wall very quickly, which will give us plenty of time to focus on our next male competitor.
Well, what a great start to the competition this evening. Often we find the first competitors who were last place in the semifinals often don't get very high on the routes, but wow, our first two competitors here, Garrett Greggor and Zoe Steinberg, sure making a splash, as it were, in round one of finals tonight. We have 12 women and 11 men competing.
So sounds like Zoe Steinberg knocked one of the volumes off the wall, so Brett's going to go up and put that back to keep the playing field level for all the competitors.
Yeah, so she definitely could call a technical there, but because she seemed to pass it quite easily, I don't think she's going to bother.
Yeah, I don't think it slowed her down at all.
Yeah, that's certainly an unusual event. I mean, I've seen holds spin, but I've never seen a volume get ripped off the wall.
You can see they're usually screwed into whatever they're attached to. But as Brett takes care of that, we will focus on the male side of the equation here. Our next competitor, 20-year-old Andrew Nimmer, climbing out of Pewaukee, Wisconsin.
Your protege, right, Brian?
From my home gym, Adventure Rock. This is an exciting moment for Andrew. I know he's wanted to be in finals at Adult Nationals. Came very close the last 2 years. Broke through this year. Now he's got a lot of people at home rooting for him, including two of my favorite people, his parents, Mark and Patty. Mark was my first coach.
Wow.
Way back in the day.
He's also an avid outdoor climber as well.
That's right. He's actually going to the Red River Gorge Monday for spring break. Andrew, a student at UW-Madison.
And I know that he's on site at least 13B in the Red River Gorge. And this is information that's about a year old, so I'm sure a lot more has happened since then. These guys seem to exponentially improve their performance year by year.
See how Andrew makes his way in his first Adult Nationals finals. Andrew been in finals of youth competitions throughout the years, as well as many times at the local competition. Quick on the draw out there at Adventure Rock, winning the event the last 2 years. Andrew, our 10th place qualifier, trying to come out and make some noise here early in the men's final. It was just a couple years ago that Brad Weaver came out pretty early in the final round and won the whole thing. So
that's right.
You don't want to turn off your television. You never know when the national champion could be crowned here.
So this is where Garrett got to. Let's see if Andrew can pull this off. No, that's going to be truly a spot where other men struggle as well. Meanwhile, Brett Johnston is still hanging from a rope on the women's final, getting that volume back on the wall. It appeared to just be a foothold.
All right, while we get things situated for the women's route there, we're going to take a quick break. You are watching live coverage of the 2016 USAC Sport Climbing National Championships. Welcome back to Central Rock in Watertown, Massachusetts. This is the 2016 USAC Sport Climbing National Championships. Final round, Chris Widener.
That's right. And it's been pretty darn exciting so far with just one competitor in the women going and two in the men. Our first female competitor, Zoe Steinberg, somehow knocked off a volume that you can see Brett Johnston right now from the route setting crew is screwing back on the wall. So there was some technical problem there. It definitely was not Zoe's fault.
This is the kind of attention the route setters don't necessarily enjoy, but It's part of the job. We'll get that sorted out real quick, and we'll be back in action for the women. I think we're going to keep the men rolling along here with our next competitor, former two-time national champion Carlo Traversi, probably best known for his bouldering prowess, but actually Carlo, very well-rounded, won the national championship twice, 5 or 6 years ago, and always a threat to make the podium. Carlo's 26 years old, out of Santa Rosa, California, been climbing for 14 years. Carlo kind of the elder statesman in the field.
That's right.
He had a very interesting warm-up routine that we saw back on Isolation, Chris. Campus dynoing.
And it's a good thing because that first move is a dyno.
That's pretty funny, actually, that it turned out there was a dyno on the first move like that.
Yeah, it was great hanging out with Brian Runnels here in the warm-up area. Watching the guys, they definitely were doing anything but being serious. They were playing around like monkeys on these dynos and just like socializing as if we were just broing out in the gym. It was pretty cool. And now here they are head-to-head doing their best in the finals.
Carlo's climbed some of the most difficult boulder problems in the world over the last several years. Been focusing even on his trad game, from what I understand, out in Yosemite.
He sure has. He's apparently gotten very close to sending Meltdown in Yosemite, and I know that's been a long-term project of his, Beth Rodden's 514C trad route. Now for the women, we have Audrey Miller starting up the wall. They've gotten the volume fixed, and we're moving on. Our second woman out, Audrey Miller, 16 years old, from Atlanta, Georgia. This year earlier, she placed 4th place in the Youth Bouldering Nationals. And in 2014, she was 3rd place in bouldering and 6th place in speed. She, along with a bunch of other women from sport finals here, are going to be competing in speed finals immediately following this competition. At 16 years old, Audrey is certainly an experienced competitor, and I think this will not be the only finals we see her in.
Definitely not, Chris. That's a recurring theme with a lot of these young competitors.
Meanwhile,
Carlo.
Carlo's getting the high point now.
New high point for the men on the finals route. Would not be surprised to see Carlo come out and set a very high mark here. Reeling in those pinches. Carlo, so strong in these kinds of moves.
That's going to be a tough clip, but they do have to clip every draw.
See Carlo deciding that it was better to try and get to the next hold. At least get some credit for touching the usable surface on the next hole. He should get at least partial credit for that. We will have live scoring updates throughout the evening as they are warranted.
Carlo looking kind of psyched. And he should be.
Looks kind of pumped.
Yeah. Audrey Miller, a face we haven't seen too much of. This is her first adult nationals, and it certainly doesn't look like it will be her last. In addition to climbing, she is interested in fly fishing. Can't be a common hobby for these people who otherwise seem to be into running and yoga. But fly fishing, that's pretty cool.
Carlo taking in the rest of the finals here. We'll see a lot of the competitors just hanging out, cheering on their competitors. Very collaborative atmosphere here, as always, at Nationals.
A lot of big holds here on the women's route, but they all seem to be facing the wrong way, a way that is just strenuous enough.
Really nice use of her feet there by Audrey Miller, taking just a little bit of weight off her arms with her toes there. You see a lot of these competitors climbing really smart like that. Still so many moves left on this women's route. She is well up this wall, and there's still yet so much climbing left. You can start to see those bubble wrap holds. Those are not very good grips.
That's right.
I think this is where it's really going to start to turn on for the women.
I want to say this is about where Zoe got to, somewhere in here. I couldn't see exactly, but if she makes it another few moves, she will be at a new high point for the women. Audrey Miller is 5'5" with a +3 ape index. Let's see if that ape can make it work.
Audrey Miller climbing so strong and well beyond her years right now in this women's finals route. Trying to push onto the head wall for the first time here for the women.
And there it is. She's getting higher on this thing.
And actually looks like a pretty good hold that her left hand is on there. She'll be able to shake out her right arm at least, but you know her left arm's going to start to get tired. Audrey Miller coming out of Atlanta, Georgia, pushing really far up this women's route. That's going to just about do it for her. Just ran out of steam there, but that was a really great climb by her, Chris.
That was awesome. I'm super impressed with Audrey. Yeah, again, first time I've seen her climb, and even though she's no stranger to comps, that will not be the last. I'm excited to see her more. And because of the technical error, we are going to see the next woman out, Julia Talbot, before we see our next man, which is Ben Tresco. So next up is Julia Talbot. Climbed really well in the semifinals. In fact, Julia was the very first woman to decipher a very difficult-looking crux in the women's semifinal. The crowd cheered wildly for her after many, many women had already failed there. She also joined us in the booth for a fun interview. Julia is a local here from Florence, Massachusetts. She is 16 years old and has been climbing since she was only 10. So I guess well over half her life.
It's almost a late start these days.
I know, kind of nuts. She placed 5th in the Youth Bouldering Nationals this year, 9th place in last year's Sport Climbing Nationals, Youth Nationals that is.
As we saw with Audrey there, Chris, these sport routes are really a journey. They're very long, complex. The climbers have to find the ebb and flow of when to turn on the gas, when to step back and rest a little bit, all while trying to decipher a route they've never been on before.
Yeah, it's got to be tough just looking up and kind of hoping that you've guessed correctly when you've been previewing the route and talking with your peers.
As we were pointing out repeatedly, since these are all very experienced competitors, they have a lot of experience previewing routes from the ground, kind of deciphering the moves, but there's still no substitute for actually being up there and actually climbing the moves.
When we spoke with her during the semis, Julia spoke very highly of all of her competitors. She seems to have a pretty light-hearted attitude toward the competition in general, and she seems to have fun with it. Again, something you might see in someone a lot older, but she's only 16 years old.
See if she can keep the momentum she got generated in semifinals. Certainly something to build on for Julia Talbot.
And you'll see how she clipped both of those draws. I will remind the audience that you do need, these competitors that is, need to clip every single draw. In fact, they count as points. So if one competitor gets to the same spot on the route but has clipped a draw, then they get more points.
See if Julia can throw out the first hard section. Nice. Got to go with confidence on moves like that, and that's exactly what she did.
Julia is interested in graphic arts, embroidery, and cross-country running, in addition to climbing, of course.
And out on the wall for the men, our 8th place qualifier, Ben Tresco. Ben recovered pretty nicely from a subpar qualifier round. He qualified for semis in 21st, but climbed very well during semifinals to move into finals here. Ben's 19 years old, been climbing for 9 years. Climbs out in Salt Lake City at Momentum.
He also joined us in the booth for semifinals. He said that during qualifiers he was feeling a bit sick, but he's bounced back, and it would not surprise me if he does very well in finals.
Yeah, Ben's another very seasoned youth competitor, made finals at the Youth World Championships a couple times over the years.
Meanwhile, Julia Talbot is just hiking up the wall, getting close to the final head wall there.
It seems like we're going to see a lot of women get to this section. There's still a lot of moves to go, even at this point.
It appears that this route, at least the first 2/3 of it, is significantly easier, Brian, than the semifinals route for women.
Look at those holds at the top of the wall. As Julia finds out the hard way. It gets difficult up there for the women. That's going to be it for Julia Talbot. A great performance for her this weekend at Sport Nationals.
With a wave and a smile, she fell off at about the same point as Audrey Miller.
Ben Tresco trying to beat the high point that was just set by Carlo Traversi for the men.
We'll see how he makes this clip, because Carlo had trouble. Ooh, look at that.
Yeah, Carlo did not make this clip.
No. In fact, he didn't even attempt to make the clip. It just looked like he had climbed too far and was just committing to trying to clip from above. But Ben can apparently clip from an overhanging, like, 2x4.
Actually, you see Ben working his body, getting those hips into the wall. That takes a little bit of the weight off the arms. Ben Tresco sticking the head wall.
And the
moving
crowd's
into
going
first
nuts.
place for the men.
The crowd is going nuts. And he is fighting.
Great effort from Ben Tresco. That looks nails hard for the men up there. That will put him in first place at this point after 4 competitors. Still with our top qualifiers to come, including our defending national champion, Kai Lightner.
Ben's got to feel good about that one. It certainly didn't look like he made any mistakes. And especially with this many moves, Brian, on these routes, it's easy to make one mistake that'll cost you the route, but didn't look like he made any of them.
Yeah, these sport climbing comps are a really pressure-packed environment. One mistake and you're on the end of the rope, and your comp is over.
Another local climbing for the women, Katie Lamb from Lexington, Massachusetts. She was a youth national champion at SCS, I believe, last year, and she was 10th place in the Youth World Championships. Among other accomplishments, Brian, we've just heard that Katie Lamb was recently accepted to MIT.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. Brains and brawn.
You see Katie climbing with that knee brace. It doesn't look like it's really hindered her ability this weekend. Keep an eye on that, though.
Yeah, we thought that her knee brace during the last round may have been because of an obvious left knee bar, but apparently not. She's in the daggers section of the route. I believe the route setters may have used other descriptors, but for now we're going to leave it at the daggers. Well, while she's just chilling, I'll mention she's also interested in knitting.
She looks like she's thinking about knitting something right there, but no, she's going to keep moving on. One of the few climbers to rest in that section thus far.
Which is actually surprising, because that does look like pretty big, obvious rest. Maybe the feet just aren't good enough for most people.
Katie's looking very smooth and in control so far.
Look at that drop knee. Katie is 5'4". About the mid-range height, I'd say, for women in this finals round.
You can see her really focusing on her breathing, trying to keep her heart rate under control. It's easy to get a little too excited once you get to these hard sections and make a mistake. Katie Lamb trying to avoid that here. She's looking very comfortable with this. Is where we've seen it starts to get really difficult for the women.
Yep.
See if she can be the first competitor to get past this section. The crowd would love to see that hometown crowd for Katie Lamb. Looking very in control. This next hold is not good, though. Katie Lamb pushing the high point for the women.
And the crowd is exploding here for the hometown girl, Katie Lamb, setting the new high point on the women's finals route.
Katie Lamb within a couple moves to the finish. Great job from Katie Lamb. Hearing it from the crowd.
Standing O from the crowd for Katie Lamb.
All right, with that, we're going to catch our breath, come back with our next finalists, Shane Mester and Sidney Trinidad, coming up after this break.
Even the best laid plans are only suggestions, because there are always forks in the roads and options for everything. How do you adventure?
Welcome back to the Central Rock Gym in Watertown, Massachusetts. Continuing coverage of the 2016 USAC Sport and Speed National Championships. Getting our first look at the scores here for the men. Isaac Tresco out in front thus far, just in front of Carlo Traversi. Our top qualifiers still to come. And for the women, Audrey Miller, Julia Talbot, Zoe Steinberg. We do know that Katie Lamb will be in first place once her scores get entered there. Katie Lamb with a very impressive result just before that break, within a couple moves of finishing the women's route.
Coming out, stepping to the wall and scoping one more time is Sidney Trinidad, an 18-year-old from Seattle, Washington. She was the 5th place finisher in last year's Sport Climbing Nationals. She was last year's Speed National Champion. And get this, 10-time youth national champion in sport, bouldering, and speed, kind of a mix of all those. So, Sidney Trinidad, we can expect almost anything from her.
Yeah, as you said, Chris, Sidney, an extremely decorated youth competitor, our defending speed national champion. Still waiting for her to break through into that top spot here in Sport Nationals. See if this is her year.
That's right. She's always had a strong showing, but can she get on the podium this year? We'll see what happens. it's sure looking like a lot of the women might finish this route, which is, for better or worse, kind of the same fate as the last 2 years.
The route setter sweating a little bit.
That's right.
Last 2 years, I think 3 women have finished the route both years, which means that we count back to the semifinal result, which makes that so important that Delaney Miller was in first place after semis. So
that's right. We very well may be getting a situation here where any chance for the podium is going to mean a definite top out. We'll see, though. Those final holds looked really bad.
Remember, the competitors are in the back. They're in isolation. They're not watching what's going on, but they can hear the crowd. She obviously knows that Katie Lamb did something pretty exceptional out here right before she came out, so she knows that she's going to have to get high on this route, have a chance to make it on the podium. So adds a little bit of pressure back there. Not quite knowing what's happening out here, just having a little bit of a sense.
That's right. Yeah, in the qualifying round, the competitors were allowed not only to watch a video of each route they were going to climb that was on a loop, but they also had a chance to watch some other competitors climb. Completely different format for both semifinals and finals here.
This is a format that the competitors are very used to. As Chris said, Sidney, many-time national champion over the years as a youth competitor, so she knows the process, she knows the drill here. Should not phase her in the least.
That's right.
As we can see, she's just casually feeling her way up this women's finals route as we get our next male competitor on the wall, 30-year-old Shane Messer, Watertown local, been climbing for 10 years. Also a new dad, Chris.
That's pretty rad. How new, do you know?
I do not know.
But new dad nonetheless, and he's still out here. That's awesome. Says he's only been climbing for 10 years. Started climbing at the ripe old age of 20.
She's actually older than almost the entire women's field.
That's right. That's right. As we get closer in, we're going to talk a little bit more about the age thing, especially for the women. But right now, let's watch Sidney float her way up this wall, hooking the daggers. Love it.
Shane's bio here says he's pretty amped on being a dad.
Yeah, we'll see if that lasts.
Shane took 15th at Rope Nationals 2 years ago. Definitely a crowd favorite here in the local Watertown climbing scene.
You know, I'm noticing that with this men's route, a lot of the clips are just from the left hand. So that left hand is getting super pumped on all of these clips.
Sidney casually pushing her way onto the head wall. Looking very relaxed so far. Not making any false moves. Not rushing at all. Really seeing that experience coming through for Sidney Trinidad.
Wow.
You can see how close she is to the finish, trying to match the high point that was just set by Katie Lamb. You can see her arms starting to flex out, though. You can see that's usually a sign that you're about to weight the rope, as Sidney Trinidad did right there. Shane Messer.
Oh.
Trying hard.
He was nearly off. Oh. That was an amazing performance of tenacity. I can't believe he kept holding on to that. There's a shot of Sidney Trinidad, perhaps feeling mixed. I mean, she got super, super high.
I think she's going to be just shy of where Katie Lamb was. You could see, though, her arms start to flex out to the side there, and usually all she rode at that point. A lot of people at home can probably identify the same feeling on their climbing. Happens to these elite climbers just the same. We'll have a quick break in the action. Do want to say a quick thank you to the Watertown Central Rock community here. They've been a great host the last 2 years. All the volunteers, the staff at the gym have done a great job making things run very smoothly here last year and this year. Really appreciate all their support and help making this event the success that it is.
Absolutely. This is the largest sport climbing competition in the country, and this is the second year in a row it's been here. So big thanks to all of those folks. Bimini Horstman is now in front of the wall. Bimini is 17 years old, another local from Newton, Massachusetts. Last year's dark horse second place finisher, second place also in the heist. Those are both bouldering comps. First place in the 2014 Iron Maiden, and put in a strong performance in semifinals. Bimini is actually named after an island in the Bahamas.
That's right, we learned that
last
year.
Well, I had totally forgotten, and I asked her again, and she told me again. So there it is, Bimini, island in the Bahamas, if anyone else was wondering. Love that name, actually.
Rocking the patriotic chalk bag.
Also, when I was talking to her in the warm-up zone just about an hour ago, loves competitions because they really get her, as she said, in the zone. And she claims to truly have fun while competing because she's not distracted. Even when she's practicing for comps and training, she says she gets distracted. But right now, she is in the zone, she is having fun, and she is focusing on one move at a time.
That's actually a thing a lot of the competitors have told us. Even though the atmosphere here is very exciting, high energy, there's lots of people in the crowd, the competitors have talked a lot about how they just drown out the crowd, just focus on climbing, and they just don't really hear what's going on around them. And out on the wall for the men there on the left, this 19-year-old Dalton Bunker from Orem, Utah. Dalton's been climbing for 5 years. Took third place at Youth Nationals last year.
Bimini with a very measured dyno there. That was pretty awesome.
Dalton climbing very quickly. He got on the wall after Bimini. He is already just about even with her. Going to see different styles from these climbers. Some climbing very slow and methodical, others climbing very quickly. Everything in between.
And it really does depend on body type and kind of just natural talent and natural preferences. I mean, some of the, like Delaney was certainly one of the slowest women in the semifinals, yet she got the highest. And then some of the fastest women also got quite high, like Kyra Condie. Well, I'm impressed. Bimini seems to be kind of living up to what she was saying. She looks in the zone and relaxed, and she very well could be having fun right now as she grabs the daggers.
Dalton getting into the difficult section. You can see him struggling with that move. It's where the men's route really starts to turn on. Easy climbing is over for the men. See Dalton struggling there. You can see it there. He just kind of looked, arms flexed out to the side. He looked down, and that was it for Dalton Bunker.
Meanwhile, Bimini is just kind of quietly making her way up the wall. Does not appear to be too challenging to get at least to this height for the women. Again, this is a stark contrast to the way that both of the qualifying routes and the semifinal routes were set. We saw the majority of women in the semis falling below the halfway point on the wall. And I gotta say, it's actually much cooler to see the women get to climb a lot more.
Semis is notorious for being pretty difficult. They want to try and get that separation. Come into finals here. Climbers getting their money's worth here in finals.
That's right.
The crowd as well. They are loving the action they're seeing right now as Bimini Horstman casually pushing up onto the head wall here. I think you're going to have to finish this route if you want to take the title this year. See if Bimini Horstman can do that here. Tough to reel in that move. I think that's going to, you could see she had a hard time reeling in her body there after pulling it in that left hand. With that, we're going to take a quick break. Back with our second place finisher from last year, Jessie Grupper, right after the break.
For EP, climbing walls and handholds is our business, but that's really not why we're here. We're here to enrich people's lives and introduce climbing to the world. We know that once somebody gets an opportunity to go indoors and climb on a climbing wall, that they're going to be hooked and they're going to be a climber for life.
Welcome back to the 2016 USAC Sport and Speed National Championship, live from the Central Rock Gym in Watertown, Massachusetts, as we get an update on our final round in progress. Katie Lamb out in front for the women, followed closely by Sidney Trinidad and Audrey Miller. And for the men, Isaac Tresco out in front right now, ahead of Carlo Traversi and Dalton Bunker. Still with our top 5 qualifiers to come, including reigning national champion Kai Lightner, and our overall #1 qualifier, Sean Bailey. A lot to be determined still for both the men and the women as we get our next female competitor out on the wall.
This is Grace McKeehan, Team Texas, representing hard here with a few other ladies coming after her. She's from Frisco, Texas. She was last year's overall Sport and Speed Youth World Champion for the 16 and 17-year-olds. And 5th place in the 2014 Bouldering Championships. Grace McKeehan was simply a joy to watch in the semifinals. Of anybody, she floated the semifinal route up to the point where she fell. Nobody actually finished that route for the women, but Grace was just so light when she floated through that first crux, and she did not look like she had any trouble until she was in the air.
Yeah, she has real fluidity to her style.
What's cool about Grace is that she can kind of float up these routes in sport climbing, yet when you see her bouldering, she's a mini powerhouse. I feel like she's a master of several different styles of climbing.
Yeah, we will see her later in the speed championships, which will be following immediately after the sport climbing round wraps up. After a short break, give the competitors a little chance to rest, since a number of the female competitors will be in speed finals as well. That'll be coming up. First, we got to crown a national champion in sport climbing here.
Honestly, Brian, it looks like that move that she just made is probably the hardest move of the first half of the route. These next holds are pretty big, and they just need to kind of stay relaxed and finesse through them. And if they make it through that move that she just got through, they're going to go to the top of the, near the top of the head wall there.
Yeah, this next section is just a little bit of a pumper. Get the climbers a little tired before they tackle that final section as we look at Jessie Grupper. Jessie is an 18-year-old climber out of Montclair, New Jersey. Finished 2nd last year here in Central Rock. And also took 2nd at the Youth World Championships last year. Jessie, another one of our decorated youth competitors.
That's right. Grace's signature long ponytail flying through the air there. You always know who it is.
Getting a little stretch on there. Sizing up the top of this route. Climbers are constantly processing where they are, where they're going next, where their next rest might be, deciding when the right moment is to keep moving up the wall. All this speaks back to their experience.
And speaking of experience, when we had Grace with us here in the commentating booth during semifinals, she did mention that she feels pretty confident with her skills of assessing the route as she goes up. And as we see, it is a lot of that. She's just constantly scanning for holds. Is this the way that she planned it? Is this, is she gonna have to make some last minute decision? Sport climbing is so cool that way, in that it's just a constant puzzle, and it's very mentally taxing. So far, it looks like she's just warmed up on this route. I have a feeling it's about to turn the corner here and be tricky, but Grace McKeehan, with her floating style, let's see how she can tackle this final head wall.
She's able to keep her body into the wall a little bit better than Bimini was here. See it paying off for her. Moving into the last hole before the finish. Grace McKeehan pushing out in front for the women. One move to go. Staring down the finish hold. Grace McKeehan finishing women's finals.
The first woman to the top of the route. Grace McKeehan once again floated up that route. That was just simply awesome.
Grace McKeehan in the clubhouse now as our leader.
And she has got to be psyched about that one.
Scoring is easy when they get to the top. Very easy to tell at that point. Grace just eclipsing the high point set by Katie Lamb there.
Meanwhile, Jesse Grupper is taking his time on the Starfish Technic section of the wall. Nobody else has been able to rest where he is on a micro crimp. He's looking very solid.
Giving him some pause here. Just able to reel that in. Grabbing the screwed on holds with his right hand there. Almost missed it though. But you can see he's starting to get tired. You can see his arms starting to bow out from the wall. See if he can pull it in here with his foot. Jesse Grupper swing and a miss. That's going to do it for last year's second place finisher, Jesse Grupper. Qualified for finals here in 5th position. Not going to happen this year for Jesse Grupper though. Suspect we'll be seeing him for years to come though. He is just 18 years old. Great work from Jesse Grupper.
For the women, we're having Claire Buhrfeind step up to the wall. Claire was our last year's 3rd place champion here in sport climbing. She was also 3rd place in 2014, and again, both years, Claire flashed the finals routes for the women, but it went back to semifinals to determine their place. So Claire is back here, having been on the podium 2 other times, and we know that she wants to make it a little bit higher on that podium. She certainly has the ability, she certainly has the resume.
And Claire will know from listening that Grace did finish the route, so she pretty much knows that she's got to finish this. She wants any chance being national champion this year. Got her work cut out for her.
Claire was also this year rather, youth bouldering 2nd place finisher. She was also the 3rd place finisher in the open bouldering nationals this year. So she's been doing very well in all aspects of indoor climbing. She has been placed on the podium in the bouldering, in the sport, in the speed, and she was last year's 5th place in youth worlds as well. Claire Buhrfeind, really excited to see her crush this route.
And as Claire makes her way up the women's final route, we're going to welcome our next male competitor, our 4th place qualifier for finals here tonight, Drew Ruana out of Redmond, Washington, a 16-year-old climber, been climbing for 13 years, and he showed no hesitation there in that opening move. Drew, one of the best young climbers in the world, has an incredibly strong resume, both indoor and outdoor, winning 1st place at Youth Nationals for sport climbing last year. Just recently established the hardest route in Smith Rock out in Oregon.
14D.
Quite the talent. Really excited to see him here in his first adult rope nationals. Made it into finals in 4th place. Really an open canvas still for the men here. We have yet to see any of the men really make any progress on the top of this route. See if Drew can be the first one to do just that.
You know, Brian, it's been really exciting for me to see Drew climb because I met Drew, believe it or not, I met Drew before he was 1 year old. I met him as a 6-month-old at the Vertical World in Washington. I know his parents In fact, I just got to talk with his mom, Chris, for the first time in many years. Used to climb at Smith Rock together. And it's just so fun to now see Drew, who has been climbing hard trad, hard sport, hard indoors. It's great to see him in person.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching his style. He's got a very cerebral style of climbing that kind of harkens back to that Smith Rock upbringing. He climbs really smart with his feet. Really impressive young climber. Very bright future ahead of him for sure. He is just getting started at 16 years of age.
Claire's making this route look so easy, it's hard to even say much about her. She is just not having any trouble. At 5'11", these final moves may even look a little easier for her than anyone else so far. We'll see.
Claire's just making it look easy right now for the women. One more move to go. See her just trying to find the right grip on that bubble wrap hold.
Come on, Claire.
Last move for Claire Buhrfeind, and no! Claire Buhrfeind missing the finish hold. And Drew Ruana comes off at the same time. That is a surprising result for Claire Buhrfeind, just missing that hold. Wow. Grace McKeehan still in first place for the women. Claire Buhrfeind not able to make it happen despite getting her hand on the finish hold. Not going to be her year for Claire Buhrfeind, but as usual, a great performance by her. Always great to see her out here at Nationals. And when we come back, we will have our top qualifiers for the men and the women. Coming up next, our defending champion, Kai Lightner. Do not miss that. Welcome back to the Central Rock Gym, where the action is heating up here. Chris Widener in the final round of the 2016 Sport and Speed National Championship. For the men, Isaac Tresco still out in front, coming out early here in finals, putting up a very solid result. He is inching his way toward the podium here. And for the women, Grace McKeehan out in front on the strength of her onsite of this women's route. Claire Buhrfeind will be in second place just behind her. Just missing the finish hold, as we saw there, Chris.
That was a dramatic finish for Claire Buhrfeind, who the last 2 years has been third place on the podium. And the fact that she did not snatch that last hold really kind of put her podium chances in jeopardy.
And that was really surprising, because last year the women's route ended with a similar move to a good hold like that, and Claire just slam dunked it.
Yep.
This year it looks like she just kind of surprised herself. Wasn't quite mentally in the right mindset to grab that hold, and she just missed it.
That's right. Right now we're seeing Kyra Condie, our fastest climber. I'm going to say unofficially, this is our fastest finalist. Kyra is a very strong boulder, a very strong competitor. She's from Shoreview, Minnesota. She's the 7th place sport finisher last year. She got 7th place. She won last year's Portland Boulder Rally. In 2013, she was the Bouldering Youth National Champion. She was the Sport Climbing Youth National Champion and the Speed Youth National Champion. She has all of these skills, and she puts them all to use when she climbs.
Kyra, definitely one of the Midwest favorite climbers. Been seeing her out there competing around the Midwest for several years now. Always super fun to watch her climb. She's got a really fun style to watch, and she'll be a really good juxtaposition against somebody like Delaney, who we're seeing coming up a little bit later. Very different styles. Both very effective, though, as we will see.
That's right. Kyra seems unstoppable.
And coming out for the men, our defending national champion and third place qualifier for finals tonight, Kyle Lightner, the 16-year-old phenom out of Fayetteville, North Carolina, climbing out of the Triangle Rock Club. He has 6 national titles and 1 Youth World Championship title. Kai, one of the rising stars in the sport of climbing. In fact, NBC News named him one of the 28 most influential African Americans last month.
That's right.
Great to see Kai getting that recognition in and outside of the climbing world.
Yeah, that was a huge breakthrough for climbing in the media, that's for sure. Kai with 2 Pan American youth titles as well. And as Brian said, Kai Lightner is our defending champion. There he is, lower left of the screen. I'm going to say he has the longest limbs in sport climbing in America, and it's fun to watch him use them.
Fun juxtaposition of styles between Kai and Kyra right now on the wall. Kai, a very deliberate climber, very measured in what he does. See Kyra starting to pour it on here. Do not be fooled, she is in full control right now.
Kyra, the insta climber, just making fast progress, snappy decisions, snappy movements. I love watching Kyra climb.
Kyra trying to match the high point of Grace McKeehan, who is in first place right now on the strength of her top on this women's finals route. Kyra zeroing in. Might as well rest. Here comes Kyra Condie. 1 move to go. Can she do it? Can she match Grace McKeehan? She is struggling with that hold. No. Too much hesitation from Kyra Condie, not able to make that move.
And the final 3 female competitors will know by the way the crowd kind of sighed at the end there that she did not summit the route.
That'll put her in third place, I would think, at this point, because Claire did get her hand on the last hold. She will get partial credit for that. So Grace McKeehan 1, Claire Buhrfeind 2, Kyra Condie 3 at this point, I believe. We'll get unofficial results once they're available as Kai Lightner continues his quest up men's final. Chris, we talked to Kai during semifinals. He said he actually hasn't been feeling very well.
That's right.
Not climbing up to his full potential during qualifiers for sure. He seemed to be in better form during semifinals.
And he certainly looks good here. Just setting the high point for the men's final now. Kai Lightner, our defending champion from last year.
And look at the incredible technique from Kai Lightner, pinching that hold with his feet, giving him the necessary tools to clip that draw. And he just kind of loses it there, acknowledging the crowd support. I think he's going to be a little disappointed that he fell there. He was
1 clip and at least 3 moves ahead, though, of our first place so far. So that was Kai Lightner doing an excellent job. No indication that he has been pretty sick, actually, all week, as he said. What a show. I can't believe how quickly this is going. We only have 2 more men and 3 more women to come out.
You can see how quickly things can change here. 1 second, Kai's looking very controlled, making a nice clip, and then a half second later, he's off the wall.
There are so many opportunities for mistakes here on this sport climbing wall.
It's kind of the story of climbing, is so many opportunities for failure.
That's right. And you can take that to whatever level you feel like taking, but right there we're looking at Margo Hayes, our 3rd place semifinalist and last year's 2nd place finisher. She is definitely a threat to the throne here. I know Delaney's a little nervous about Margo. In fact, Delaney said during qualifiers that after watching Margo, it made her a little jittery, presumably because Margo had climbed so well. Of note is Margo last year placing 2nd in the Youth Worlds in both sport climbing and bouldering. The same year that she broke her back.
Chris, you've actually had a chance to talk with Margo for PC Road for Boulder's Daily Camera.
That's correct.
Profiling her. What did you learn about her as part of that interview?
You know, Margo is has a vast level of experience. I mean, she's just as interested in outdoor climbing as she is in indoor climbing, which to me is quite impressive. She's climbed 14B in a couple weekends at Rifle. She's recently sent Scarface 14A at Smith Rock, notoriously difficult one. She's flashed 13C. I mean, she is just a well-rounded climber with goals that are scope beyond just indoor climbing and just outdoor. I mean, she seems to have a broader view of her world. She's interested in art, photography, travel. Really an interesting person and a very kind, smiley person.
Out on the wall for the men is 20-year-old Elan Jonas Mcrae, climbing out of British Columbia, Canada. Elan is one of our foreign national competitors, not eligible to be national champion, but he can win the event. Elan's been climbing for 10 years, got some of the strongest fingers in the world. Notorious crimp strength for him. See how that serves him on this men's finals route, a mixture of crimps and open-handed pinches.
From Nanaimo, BC, Elan told me in the warm-ups that he and a few friends have been developing some granite boulders on Vancouver Island, and that recently they've put up 300 to 400 problems. He didn't sound too optimistic that others would come repeat them, because he said they don't believe how good they are. But apparently they're some of the best around.
Well, the secret is out now.
That's it. He may regret that I even said anything, or that he said that to me, but hey, it's got to get out.
Elan, a very smooth climber. Also climbing very smoothly is Margo Hayes.
Just turned 18 from Boulder, Colorado. I gotta say, if there's a classic position that Margo Hayes climbs in, it's this. She always seems to have a heel on the wall. She has a very strong gymnastics background, extremely flexible, and you can see that in the way she climbs. Her feet are often as high as her shoulders. I'll repeat that Margo is a favorite to win here tonight. Her biggest threat, probably Delaney Miller, but certainly Michaela Kiersch, who's coming up next, is also a threat.
All these women trying to dethrone our three-time defending national champion Delaney Miller, who has yet to come here. She is the #1 qualifier. It's Elan and Margo both pushing near the top of their respective routes right now.
Margo grimacing there at the top. She only has a few feet left.
Elan loses his feet there, not able to reel in that pinch. Disappointing for him because he's about to get to the section of the route that I think he'd have been most comfortable on, but we focus back on Margo Hayes now, trying to match the high point from Grace McKeehan, the only woman to finish this route right now. She is making it look easy to Margo Hayes.
Margo Hayes with the final clip of the anchor, which signals that she is done with that route. That was amazing, using her classic signature heel hook to surmount that final move.
On a move that we saw Kyra and Claire both struggle to find the right grip on that second last hold. She made it look very easy. And just with authority goes to the finish hold. Margo Hayes is going to be in first place at this point with just 2 competitors to come for the women. We're going to take a quick break and come back and crown a national champion when we get back. back to the Central Rock Gym in Watertown, Massachusetts. Brian Reynolds and Chris Widener here with you for the final round of the 2016 Sport and Speed National Championships. And we are down to our final 2 women and final male competitor in this final round. Ben Tresco still out in front for the men. He is going to be on the podium, it looks like, at this point, with just one climber to come. Kai Lightner, excuse me, as we get his score in there now. Kai Lightner in first place for the men. And for the women, we know
Margo Hayes in number 1.
Yes, there we go. Margo Hayes in first place, as we expected, on the strength of her position in semifinals. That's how it works when she ties with Grace McKeehan in finals here. It goes back to semifinals. So Margo Hayes out in front for the women right now, with just Michaela Kiersch and Delaney Miller to come.
And there's Michaela putting in a super strong performance in semifinals, surprising some of us. She's always done well, but she seems stronger than ever. Of note, Brian, is that Michaela, at just 21 years old, is the oldest female finalist in this competition. It's insane. In fact, she was the 3rd oldest of all 25 women who even started this competition yesterday in qualifiers. It's crazy how young the women's field in particular is getting.
Yeah, certainly Michaela was not thrilled with this fact when we talked about it before finals started.
She joked about how it felt to be the old, seasoned one. At just 21 years old, she'll be the only one, if she makes the podium, to be able to legally have that celebratory drink, Brian.
Michaela, no stranger to podiums over the years. She's been climbing for well over a decade at this point. Another one of those extremely decorated youth competitors.
In fact, in 2012, Michaela was the first place SCS Youth National Champion. She was also the Youth National Champion in 2009 for bouldering. She's also got a diverse background outdoors, having bouldered hard, problems at least as hard as V9, possibly harder, and more than one 14A sport route in the Red River Gorge.
Michaela took the year off from competing last year, but she's back this year climbing in top form. Has looked very strong in qualifiers and semis thus far. Would be no surprise to see her finish this route just like Grace McKeehan and Margo Hayes have done so far. She certainly knows that that's the case at this point. She is no stranger to pressure-packed situations, having to perform in finals.
Michaela is from Chicago, and she lives there again now with a stint of just under a year living in Boulder, Colorado, climbing and training with some of her best friends like Courtney Woods, Daniel Woods' wife, and Nina Williams.
It's really impressive about Michaela. She started climbing at a gym called Hidden Peak, a very small gym, not much bigger than an oversized Woody or home wall, and she's turned into one of the best sport climbers in the country. Pretty impressive. As we get a look at our #1 male qualifier on the wall now, Sean Bailey, a 19-year-old from Washington, now living in San Diego. Been climbing for 14 years. Out here in his first adult rope nationals, but do not let that fool you, folks. Sean is no dark horse. This is not his first rodeo. Sean, one of the most decorated youth competitors the U.S. has produced in recent years.
And certainly one of the star sport climbers in our country that just doesn't get the press for whatever reason that other climbers have. This is the first time I've ever seen Sean Bailey climb in the qualifiers yesterday, and I was blown away by his strength and his confidence.
Yeah, Sean clearly climbing the best out of all the men so far this weekend. But nobody's won national championship in semifinals, so he's got to do it here in finals.
Meanwhile, Michaela's had to turn it on a little bit here on this wall. Definitely trying, as opposed to a couple of our other competitors like Claire and Grace, who just didn't seem to have tried yet. But if Michaela's got anything, she's got fight. And I'm excited to see what happens up here on the head wall.
Crowd's starting to get behind Michaela here. She has just a couple moves left. Michaela Kiersch eyeing that national championship. She is one move away from putting herself on the podium.
Shaking out before the final moves.
Michaela and Sean going out of here. Michaela, she is losing it. No! Michaela Kiersch swing and a miss on the finish hold for women's final. Just like that, she joins Claire Buhrfeind.
Meanwhile, Sean Bailey here on the 2 mega wide pinches that others have fallen on.
Sean showing why he's the #1 qualifier here.
He's getting up to Kai Lightner's point. For the first time this weekend, I'm seeing him try, Brian.
He is looking super strong right now. Sean Bailey not able to reel it in. I think he will be the national champion though, Chris. We will check some scores here.
I
He's
believe
very
so.
close to the same point that Kyle Lightner got to, but I think he's going to get credit for moving out to that next hold.
I believe he will, and that was awesome. Super strong showing by Sean Bailey. Excited to see. He has a big future here.
Really excited to see Sean out here on the adult circuit for years to come. It's been a treat to watch him climb this weekend, Chris. And just like that, we started with 50 men and 25 women, and we are down to just our final female competitor, the reigning 3-time national champion, stepping up for her championship moment here, Chris. She's got her work cut out for her. She knows it. One climb for Delaney Miller to win her 4th consecutive national championship.
That's right, Brian. Delaney Miller, she had what appeared to be a very strong showing in the qualifying round. However, after we talked to her, she didn't sound as confident as it seemed like she deserved. She did much better, at least internally, during the semifinals. She felt like she did well, and I know she's a bit nervous, or at least she was yesterday. She wants to defend this title. And again, back to the age theme here. She is just 20 years old. She'll turn 21 in 3 weeks. Less than 3 weeks, actually. And yet she is our 2nd oldest climber in the finals here. Just crazy to think that 20 years old is kind of on the upper end of the age spectrum for our female competitors. Delaney is one of the famous Team Texas climbers from Frisco, Texas, currently living in Fort Collins, Colorado, finishing up a degree at CSU. She is about to move later on this year to Victoria, BC.
Oh, nice.
I believe for a master's program. Delaney is likely going to be the slowest, most controlled climber, which I think is so cool to watch because nothing seems like an effort for her, ever, even before she falls. And it's worth noting that included in her vast experience in competitions, she was last year's Continental, what was she? She was the 7th overall, in the World Cup rankings in 2015. 7th overall. That's huge for an American.
And that's a great point here, Chris. As well as vying for the national championship, the climbers are competing for a spot on the U.S. national team, which qualifies them to represent the U.S. in the World Cup competitions, as Delaney did last year. One of the few times American has competed regularly on the adult lead climbing circuit, so that was great to see.
That's right. She was the lone representative of the U.S. In the World Cup circuit for women. Oh, wow, she's trying a vastly different sequence. She went to a totally different hold than anyone else. In fact, that is the volume that our very first competitor kicked off the wall.
She's in a little bit of a bind right now, but I think she...
Well, this is surprising. Delaney has made a very clear error.
This would be an incredible shock. Wow. Delaney Miller misreading the women's finals route, and that is going to end her reign as national champion. Wow. You know she's going to be disappointed with that, Chris, but that's the kind of thing that just doesn't happen out here.
Oh, gosh. That is so sad to see. Delaney was by far the strongest and kind of most controlled climber in semifinals. I'm sorry to see that. She was climbing in very, very good form. She is the only finalist who read it that way.
And just like that, Margo Hayes is going to be the 2016 national champion for sport climbing. Wow. What an end to the competition, Chris.
Gosh, I just feel it, though. Just looking at Delaney right now, she is feeling defeated. Oh, my gosh. That's just so heartbreaking.
You can see her fellow competitors supporting her. They know that this kind of thing can happen. It's why you got to play the game, Chris. It's cliched for a reason, but yeah, everybody would have expected Delaney to come out and easily flash this route, but
yeah, and you know,
that can happen.
Brian, this is not the first time, I got to say, that Delaney has suffered kind of a crush like this. In one of last year's World Cups, in fact, Delaney was disqualified for skipping the second clip, and it was completely by accident. She was called off the wall, and she had a moment of tears with her teammates. And I hate to say, soon after, here in this competition, Delaney just had another heartbreaking moment.
As we get a look at our unofficial results here, Margo Hayes is going to be the 2016 national champion. Grace McKeehan and Michaela Kiersch on the podium with her. Claire Buhrfeind, Kyra Condie just on the outside. Not their year. But great climbing from all the women. A really exciting finals route for the women. And for the men, Sean Bailey going to be the 2016 national champion. Incredible performance by him this weekend. Kai Lightner not able to defend his crown, but in a very close second place. Ben Tresco, very solid third place for him. Very impressive climbing, recovering from an uneven qualifier round to finish on the podium for the men. We're going to get some interviews with our winners here in just a second as we prepare for our speed finals, which will be starting in about 20 minutes. Going to give the competitors that completed in the lead climbing portion of the event tonight a chance to rest up a little bit before the speed climbing.
Delaney will have, Delaney will have another chance in climbing here, because at speed she will be in the speed finals coming up. In fact, right now we have Sean Bailey stepping into the booth.
Our 2016 national champion for the men, Sean Bailey. Sean, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, big congratulations, man. That was such a pleasure to watch you climb. I've heard about you for years, for both your indoor and outdoor accomplishments, and it was awesome to finally get to watch you climb.
Yeah, it was a cool experience for sure. Really cool.
Tell me a bit about the finals route. Nobody finished it. Nobody even got close to finishing it. What did it feel like?
It was hard. It was really hard. There's no rest on it the whole way up. So you really had to stay engaged the entire way through. I didn't feel the feet were necessarily where you wanted them, so there's a lot of engagement the whole time. And it was just on you the whole way. Very powerful. Really kind of bad holds.
Yeah, it looked
you had to pull down. The top section was just one arm after one arm, it kind of felt like.
That's no big deal for you though, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can do a couple of them.
What was your mindset coming into finals? This is your first adult nationals, but you've competed a lot of years on the youth circuit. Did you draw on your experience from that, or were you nervous at all?
Yeah, I mean, definitely draw a lot of experience. Every single comp is a huge learning experience, definitely. So I just kind of try to think about what's worked in the past. I always find it's a hard position to go into a final in first place. I think it takes a lot, because there's so much more mentally on you. You feel almost that there's such a good chance you can do really well that it adds so much stress. So for me, it was just kind of coping with that and really thinking about trying to have a good time on it, trying to try the hardest I can, not worried if I got tired low, because I knew it was going to be so hard that it was going to make you tired and you're going to have to climb really tired. So
yeah,
that was
definitely
a big part of it for sure.
Nice. Well, you certainly did a great job of managing the pump on that.
Yeah, definitely. I've been training it a lot, a little bit. So
awesome.
Lately been training it a lot, yeah.
Well, it definitely paid off for you in your first adult nationals. You come out on top. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Sean, what's next for you? What are you up to?
Well, I just moved down to San Diego, working at Mesa Rim, starting a route set, and coach their team, help out a little bit. So pretty excited to focus on that a little bit, kind of pursue my own climbing as well. And I think been happy with the rope climbing lately, so I think I'll stick with it.
Maybe try to do
some maybe try to do some hard projects. I think climbing on some rock for a little while would be really beneficial.
Nice.
Kind of hard to stay in the gym for a long time, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, sure. We look forward to seeing you back here next year to defend your title. Congratulations once again. Best of luck to you, Sean Bailey.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Your 2016 national champion for sport climbing. Congratulations.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Congratulations, Sean.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us here.
Cool. Have a good one.
Thanks to Sean Bailey for stopping by after securing his first national champion as an adult.
That's right. Very exciting. Now, we also have Margo Hayes coming on into the booth. She was last year's second place, and now our new national sport climbing champion, Margo Hayes. Welcome and
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very happy right now.
Hard to take that smile off
Yeah.
your face. I did talk to you just less than a week ago back in Boulder.
Yeah.
And even then, you know, we were both looking toward this event
Yeah.
as a possibility,
Yeah.
and here you are now in top
Yeah.
place. How do you feel?
I feel pretty, I'm so excited, honestly. And also I think this was a big breakthrough for me because over the past week I kind of had a little bit of a mental, the road was a little rough mentally, I guess, preparing the past week. And I think like all athletes, sometimes you go through those little rough patches. So it was really cool for me to be able to, get it together and kind of figure it out. And things don't have to be perfect for you to climb your best. So.
Tell us a little bit about what a rough patch looks like for you mentally.
Well, it really depends. I think that as an athlete, I can be my biggest asset, and also I can hold myself back. So I think that I was having one of those times where there were some doubts and stuff, and questioning, and then you kind of just got to say, okay, screw that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Confidence is key, and so I think. I don't know. I'm so psyched right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of confidence, you came out on the women's finals route. You're one of the only competitors to finish it. What were your expectations when you saw the route and when you started up on it?
I honestly, I didn't know if there would be any tops or not. It looked a lot harder than it ended up being. I believe that the semifinal route was more difficult.
That's what it looked like from our perspective.
Which I think is pretty common.
Yep.
But I think that a lot of the time, at least in the women's field, I feel like the final is somewhat easier than the semifinal. So there is a lot of pressure in the semifinal because for the past few years it's come down to countbacks. For instance, last year I believe there were 3 tops: Claire Buhrfeind, Delaney Miller, and myself, and it came back to how we did in semifinals. So I think that I had a somewhat disappointing semifinal round, but that's never when you want to give up or be like, okay, well, now it's just going to come down to countbacks or whatever. You have to give it your all on every single climb because you never know, how it's going to turn out. So.
And did you have a sense that one of the competitors had finished the route before you?
I did. The girls in the back were like, oh, someone just finished. And I was like, yeah. You kind of just don't let it phase you. It's motivation.
You came out knowing you had to finish the route, and it sure looked like those last few moves gave everyone pause who got to that point. What did that feel like up there, kind of grappling with that bubble wrap hold?
The bubble wrap was probably at least the last hold before the finish was the worst hold on the route by far. I felt like I had a lot of juice left, which was fortunate. Because I feel like if I was super pumped when I got up there, I think that would have been super hard to hold on to. But that was one of those moments in climbing where you can either, go for it with your all or just let that doubt of, oh, this hold isn't as good as I want, let that get in your way. And so I decided to make it one of the moments where I just pushed through. So, yeah.
That's right. You definitely went for it with your all, and it paid off.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was very impressive. You made it look very smooth.
Thank you.
Super, super fun to watch, Margo. I'm really happy for you, and big congratulations. Thank you so much for joining us here in the booth.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks, Margo.
Yeah,
congratulations.
Thanks, Margo. Congratulations to Margo Hayes, our 2016 sport climbing national champion for the women, as well as Sean Bailey, the 2016 champion for the men. And we're going to take a quick break here and get set up for speed finals. Don't go anywhere. Hang tight. Chris and I will be back in just a few minutes with your speed national championship.
In case you were wondering why we don't allow people coming into the start area here, you will soon find out. Because once the climbers start climbing, the delays have to start running. There is a whole bunch of people there, it's very, very difficult for them to do that.
Welcome back to the Central Rock Gym here. Brian Reynolds and Chris Weiner back with you for the 2016 Speed National Championships, which are going to precede the the award presentation for both sport and speed, so stick around for that. Right now, speed climbing is the name of the game, where we'll have 10 female competitors and 11 male competitors racing up this wall here at Central Rock.
It's a 10-meter wall that is on world standards, and what they do is they each climb twice. The first two competitors will climb side by side, then they switch routes and they climb it again, and they take the fastest of the times.
Looks like we're going to go men first here for the speed finals. This is a standard route that the competitors are used to climbing on, so they practice these exact moves at this exact angle on these exact holds.
You're looking at Josh Larson there, and I believe Solomon Barth is the other guy, who are going to be climbing side by side, and then they're going to switch.
Just getting some last-minute instructions in.
Speed climbing is a big event in the World Cup scene. That's one of the main reasons these climbers are here tonight, to compete on this exact wall. They're gaining experience and hopefully a place on the U.S. national team to go to the World Cup in speed climbing, which in other countries is actually a lot bigger sport, honestly.
There's definitely a strong contingent of speed climbers, though, out there in the U.S. It's been building the last few years. We had that incredible moment 2 years ago in Orange County at Center 1. John Brosler taking the national championship with an incredible run. We'll be seeing him later. Josh Larson making it look easy there. time is 6.19 for Josh Larson.
Like I said, people, it happens fast. We're going to switch things up and get Josh on the right hand lane. They are both exact mirror images, but to make sure that each competitor has the exact same advantage, they run both routes coming.
As Brian was saying, these competitors have practiced on this exact same wall umpteen times, and the faster they go in practice is exactly the same as they're going to do here in the finals. It's looking to me like, in terms of records, what we just saw was a 6.19, I believe. The record for the 10-meter wall, at least the American record, is set by John Brosler at only 3.95 seconds.
Yeah, as we go
Just
through this
for
round,
reference.
yeah, the speed is going to get ramped up. And you notice the climber on the left against Josh is actually just what they call a rabbit. Is somebody trying to pace Josh since there's an uneven number of male competitors. Just somebody to speed climb against him to give him a sense of competition to push him up the wall. After this will be even pairs of competitors that have qualified for finals here. See Josh false started there.
The rabbit's looking patriotic.
Speed climbing is such an exercise in execution and performance at just the right moment. So much different than the sport climbing we just watched, Chris, where the route is unknown to them. The climbers have to figure out as they go. In speed climbing, the climbers are familiar with the climb. They've practiced this exact route, and it's a very intense moment for them where they have to perform to the best of their ability in just 5 or 6 seconds or less, hopefully.
It's a completely different sport. It's hard to even call it climbing. They don't even look at their feet. They just run up the wall with their hands looking up. And that time of sub 6 seconds by Josh Larson, hopefully we're going to have him join us here in the booth. But again, for reference, we have some records, 3.95 seconds by John Brosler. And for women, Sidney Trinidad, whom you just saw compete in finals, has also had a sub 6 second 10-meter time of 5.74.
Going to get our next pair of competitors out there. Solomon Barth, number 42 there, is 18-year-old climber out of Collegeville, Pennsylvania. And on the right is Ahmed Torre, 24-year-old climber out of South Lake, Texas. Gets so quiet in here, Chris, right before the climbers go.
It's eerie, especially compared to the screaming of the finals.
Ahmed's going to take that round. 5.41 for Ahmed. Climbers will switch and climb the identical other half of the wall. Remember, their best time of the two is what will be used for their placement here at Nationals.
So the rabbit was Ahmed Torre?
That's a good question, Chris. Our vantage point here is admittedly not that great. We are on the exact opposite end of the gym from this.
Climbers, at your marks.
Second run here for Ahmed Torre and Solomon Barth.
Ready?
Great start from Ahmed. Ahmed's going to take both runs here. The exact same time, actually. Both runs for him, 5.41.
To within 100th of a second, the exact same time. Nutty.
And you can't actually see it on camera there, but it's actually a very unique safety system here for speed climbing. the belayer is actually just pulling the rope down, and then they have an assistant pulling the rope out of the gree-gree. Kind of interesting to watch. Wouldn't recommend trying that at home.
Definitely not.
Out next for the men, Thomas Pitzel on the left, Michael Finn Henry on the right. 16-year-old climber out of Lincoln, Massachusetts.
Thomas Pitzel is from Alpharetta, Georgia, 20 years old. He has won a World Youth Championship in speed.
Climbers at your marks.
See Thomas positioning the rope behind his arm, as does Michael, trying to make the things as unencumbered as possible. Neck and neck.
Oh.
Michael just takes it, breaking 5 seconds for the first time in this final round. 4.8 for Thomas Pitzel. And they will switch and do it all over again. See the judges there showing them their times. I think they all have a goal in mind as they come into this competition. They know what they're capable of. It's kind of one of the unique things about speed climbing is that you have a very consistent record to work against. Sport climbing comps especially, you just sort of climbing whatever the routes are just put out there. You don't really know how hard it is and that sort of thing. In speed climbing, you consistently work and work and work and will your time down and down.
That's right, yeah. It's kind of more like a racetrack in running, which is kind of motivating because you can definitely measure your progress, whereas with climbing, you can never definitely measure it because even routes of the same grade.
Yeah, I mean, you send your
totally
project, and then somebody just changes the grade. Some 12-year-old downgrades it.
That's right. Thomas Pitzel again. No.
Thomas.
Yes, it was Thomas.
I think Michael was excited to break the 5-second mark there.
That's right. That's what happened there.
Thomas showing us why he's won speed climbing competitions in the past. Michael is psyched. Nice work by him. Fist pump. Very nice.
We got Nico Romero and Gentry Cole.
Nico's a 16-year-old climber out of Frisco, Texas, been climbing for 9 years. His best result is 5th in speed. And for the men, or excuse me, on the other side, Gentry Cole, another climber out of Texas.
17 years old. 8th in this year's Youth Bouldering National Championships.
It's Nicholas on the right, Gentry on the left. Gentry just etching out Nicholas.
With us in the booth here, we have Josh Larson, our first speed competitor. Josh, can you just tell us a little bit about what is going on here?
What's going on here? Well, there's speed nationals going on right now, and everyone from the qualifying round, the top, was it 11 guys and 10 females, I believe.
Yep.
Qualified for finals, so your finals are underway now.
So a lot of spectators have not seen this before. We have told them that this is a course that you can practice on. It's the same course everywhere in the world. What's the challenge here? What's the draw? Tell us a little bit about what it's like to actually compete on it.
I think that the draw is that there can be shown progress in your climbing and across the whole world, that there can be world records broken and world records made. It's hard to have world records made in sport climbing because the routes vary so much and everything. So in this, it's really, it's just like track and field. You know, there's this time.
It's more concrete.
You know, everyone knows like the route hasn't changed, which is cool, and we can have those world records.
Nice.
Yeah, it's cool. And the people that have access to the walls definitely have the upper hand. And I think that's something that, you know, across the country and the globe that need to get into more gyms for this to become a bigger thing.
So it's bigger on the world scene for sure. Is placement in the World Cup, is that kind of a one of the main goals in addition to setting records?
Placement first,
like for a spot on the U.S. national team to go to World Cups, or?
Yeah, I think that's a big part for these guys is to get on the World Cup. When you go international level, they add an extra 5 meters, so it's a 15-meter wall, which is the official IFSC 50-meter wall. And that adds a lot of extra endurance and muscle memory and things like that to add into the training and the competition.
And out on the wall right now, we saw there Max Hammer on the left out of Planet Rock in Ann Arbor, Michigan, multi-time youth speed national champion, facing off against Michael Rechoff, who is switched over to the left side of the wall there. Michael, another Team Texas protege.
Yeah, I like the way Michael gets psyched before he gets on the wall. He has his routine, which is awesome because something that speed climbing allows is a routine, and he has an awesome routine. If you look at his face, he's got it. It's so cool.
Yeah,
I
look
love
at it.
Climbers at your marks.
Yeah, he is psyched.
You kind of have to hold your breath when you like watch him prep and pull.
Michael, a former youth national champion in speed climbing.
Oh,
bobbles the start. Max is going to win both these heats.
So I'm
Max
assuming.
Hammer.
Wow. So like somebody slips off, they're done. Are all those holds jugs?
They're in cut. They're in cut holds. People say the routes between, if you climb it at a normal pace, it's 510 to 510C or something like that. If you climb it normally.
Okay, that would take me about 35 seconds to climb at the fastest.
A couple clips here and there too, for sure. Yeah.
And now we're up to our top two qualifiers, John Brosser and Libor Hrosa.
This is bound to be a good one, right?
This is going to be a good one. This is the one we've all been waiting for.
There's Libor on the left in the singlet.
He trains in this singlet. He doesn't just wear it in competitions.
No.
He trains and sweats in this singlet, and it's awesome that he always rocks it, man.
Is that like a biking singlet where you don't wear underwear?
I don't think so. I think you wear underwear.
Okay. What do you wear with your singlet?
I wear lots of underwear.
Okay.
On the outside, actually.
Ready?
Incredible start by Libor there, you can see.
With a slip.
But John roaring back.
All right.
John with the 4.40.
Here we go. So Libor is, he usually takes his first runs a little easy and explodes in the second. That's kind of the trend for a lot of the climbers. So both John and Libor are now going to push it.
What would be an excellent time for Libor?
He said earlier that he wanted to get a sub 4, so he was thinking like a 3.8 he would like to get. So I've seen him run low 4s at practice, so it's doable. It's just about the timing.
What I have, at least from some basic research, is 3.95 from John Brosler as a record. Does that still stand on the 10-meter wall, that is?
I would think it is, yep. And I think that was a couple years ago out in
yeah, that was incredible.
San Diego, wasn't it?
Out in Ascender 1.
Yeah,
okay, that's the one you were talking about, Brian, yeah.
And Libor is a foreign national, so he's actually not eligible to be national champion. John is the defending national champion in speed climbing. I think John actually benefits from having Libor here to push him.
Mm-hmm.
Ready?
Oh, man.
Another great
Libor
start.
got a killer start.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
Libor Rosa, 4.01.
Oh, wow.
Just narrowly missing.
Last run.
Is that his fastest time to date in competition?
Yes. No, not in competition, but in this competition this weekend. That is his fastest time.
Awesome.
That's the fastest time on the wall. In this
You can see the start he got there. It looks like he's just anticipating it.
Yep. You got to be risky there.
Now, what happens if you do get a false start?
You get 2 false starts.
Okay.
So you get another attempt. And then if you get another false start, you're disqualified.
Okay, so it is
no
worth
score.
risking it once.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Well,
I risked it on mine because I could have used anything I got there.
I mean, to me, you looked amazing. How do you feel about your performance as the first guy out there?
I'm happy that I didn't choke. You know, I'm happy I didn't slip. My first run was definitely slow, but I kind of wanted to take it easy on the first one, so I at least got a score.
Yep.
And then the second one, I was like, all right, last one of the season, go all out for now.
Heck yeah.
We move on to our women's finals here. Kyra Condie on the left against Audrey Miller on the right. Audrey bobbling there at the beginning. Kyra paddling a little bit with the feet there.
Bam.
And Josh, I would assume the climbers practice their starts quite a bit. That seemed like a really key aspect of Libor's time there.
Yeah, something interesting that I've worked with Libor a little bit, or I've trained under Libor a little bit up in BC just recently, and one of the things that he was telling me about was it's easier to be faster in the beginning rather than try to get faster at the end. So if you can have a really fast beginning, you can just carry that momentum to the top. So I thought that was basically saying like you should train the bottom a lot more than the top.
Got it. Now, the time, sorry to interrupt, but the time we just saw from Kyra Condie, which I believe was a 6.84, is that something she should be happy with?
I think so. I'm not really sure the Kyra's best time. I know she's generally a really fast climber, and there she goes. Audrey's time.
Much better run for Audrey this time.
6 maybe.
Just over 7 seconds for Audrey Miller. No time for Kyra Condie as she does not finish, so she'll take her first time as her best and only time. Remember, the competitors get 2 runs up this wall. Their best time is what will count for their placement here.
Coming up, we will see Delaney Miller as one of the next 2 competitors, and we did just have a heartbreaking moment with Delaney Miller out on the sport climbing wall where she fell very low. Lowest competitor to fall. She's the defending champion of the last 3 years, and she simply misread a sequence. The question now is, can Delaney Miller pull it back together for this speed final?
And there is some irony here. Delaney is known as one of the slowest sport climbers, but here she is in speed climbing. She's actually done pretty well at it over the years. So
she has.
She's just, when the discipline calls for it, she can be quite quick.
Exactly.
And
I think Delaney's also been, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Josh.
I was going to say she's been doing a lot more bouldering in the past couple years as well, and I think that teams up with good sport climbing skills, having that base level of power, and then just learning that muscle memory.
That's right. Yeah, and I know that one of Delaney's goals over the last couple of years was to actually up her pacing a little bit in sport climbing and in sport comps. So I'm sure that speed climbing can't hurt that.
Yeah, exactly.
Delaney will be facing off against Ashton Marco on the left there, a 16-year-old climber from the Colony, Texas. She's been on the youth team for speed climbing. She's interested in getting money. That's a good interest to have.
Oh, wow. Look at that. I mean, you might as well be honest, right? Who doesn't want that?
Get money, get paid.
Climbers approach the wall. Time starts as soon as their foot leaves that timer. Oh, and Ashton bobbles to start.
Nice.
Delaney's looking good. I certainly have never seen her climb that fast.
7.87 for Delaney Miller.
That's good for Delaney. I think I've seen her qualify in the mid to low 7s, so
awesome.
But she's happy with that anyway.
And about half of the women competing in speed finals competed in lead finals as well. So
yeah.
I mean, they're probably going to be a little bit fatigued from that.
Right.
Not to mention, yesterday they had the speed qualifiers in the morning and then sport qualifiers on 2 routes in the afternoon.
Right.
This morning they had the semis in sport, and then they just did the finals, and now the speed. Delaney must be exhausted, and you can tell that there is a heaviness over her right now.
Yep. It's a lot of climbing in 2 days.
Noticing all the competitors go up to the wall before they get clipped in and sort of, what are they doing there, Josh?
So right before they get clipped in, everyone has like a different position they want to place the left foot buzzer or whatever foot buzzer. So that you kind of just go up there, you get it set, and you kind of envision the first move and get really amped for it.
Yep.
Good start by both girls.
Yeah, much cleaner round this time. Delaney and Ashton head and head.
With the best time for their comp.
7.22 for Delaney Miller.
Wow, that was a very strong finish from Delaney Miller.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, she's happy with that. 7.22. That could be a personal best.
Could be.
The start is not unlike track and field where the runners will have their, the block set up how they want it, the start exactly how they want it. Same thing with these speed climbers. They want to get the start perfect. As we saw with Libor, it really pays off.
Yeah, exactly. That routine.
You're looking at Bimini Horstman there, whom you just saw compete in the finals in the zone and having fun. I wonder if she has time to be in the zone on this speed route.
Right here, this is it.
I guess she's better be in it by now, right?
There's prayer right there. Going through the sequence in her head.
Climbers, mention marks.
She'll be facing off against Erica Meister, who will be climbing on the right side of the speed wall. Erica, 17-year-old climber out of Michigan.
Really smooth by Bimini.
Neck and neck. Just a tenth of a second separating them. But Erica winning that heat.
It's really cool to see how fast the girls have gotten over the past couple of years. Like, I think years ago girls were qualifying, I don't know, like in the 9s, and now they've brought it down to the 6s. Same with the guys too. It's impressive how everyone shaves a second off, I feel like, every year. You know,
Wow.
It's
Wow.
really, really cool to see. And that's that. You can see that progression in speed climbing, and it feels good as a climber, you know.
Well, coming from both a difficulty and speed perspective, Josh, how interested are you personally in pushing speed climbing?
I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy the approach to the training, how different it is from sport and boulder training. I am definitely interested in doing it more, and this year I'd like to do a couple of the Speed World Cups that match up with some Lead World Cups.
Nice.
Erica on the left, Bimini on the right. Erica won the first heat, and she is on her way winning the second heat as well. Doesn't look like the clock is working.
Oh.
It's not usually a good thing.
Little issue with the clocks here.
Do you know what happens in that case?
When they do it, they just wash that round and they'll race again.
Okay. They must get to rest a little bit, right? Because that's got to be taxing.
I would think they would recycle them back through.
Looks like they're going to confer with the judges here.
Sounds like about a 5-minute rest for them. They'll be back in.
So after your first round, people, I mean, it seems like they certainly have enough juice to set an even faster time in the second, but a third would be a bit much, it seems.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You feel winded a little bit. I mean, if you're not training this all the time, I felt winded a little bit stepping on for my second one, but you're warmed up. Your blood's flowing real fast, and you're ready for it. I think everyone tends to get a better time on their second because they can be a little bit more risky.
Got it.
Yep.
Looks like we're going to have some sample climbers out there to vet the scoring or timing system here, just make sure it's working.
Sample climbers or rabbits?
Call them what you will, Chris. And going back to the discussion we were just having, Josh, did you find that there's any crossover in the training you're doing for speed climbing? Is it payoff in lead climbing or vice versa? What you do in lead climbing can help you in speed climbing?
There's, I mean, having a base level of endurance is helpful, I would think, for at least the 50 meter, but there's not much crossover for me personally. Like days that I would train both, I would train speed and then lead.
Okay. Almost gets you a little bit of a nice warm-up.
Yeah, and it's from training with Libor, also it's just being able to be fresh for every training and practice lap that you do is more important than being tired while you do it. Cool. So you would do a run and rest for 6 minutes, do one run and rest for 6 minutes, and do that for about 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours?
Yeah, it worked out to be about 2 hours to 2.5 hours of focus on the speed wall, and that's, you're on the wall for less than hopefully 6 seconds. You're resting for 6 minutes, so it's that kind of training tires you out, and then if you're like Libor, you go to the gym for 3 hours after that, and you lift weights and you train and do dead hangs and things like that.
Wow. We are back to live climbers here. Ariana Matthews on the left against Grace McKeehan on the right. Ariana, 15-year-old climber from Newton, Massachusetts. Just bobbling right at the end. There's Grace. Going to take this heat in 6.37.
Again, you can just follow the signature ponytail up the wall just like we did in Sport Nationals. Love it.
Grace McKeehan, who won overall last year this past year in Arco, right? I guess it was last year.
Yeah.
Which
Overall
is a
world champion for
a
youth.
Huge feat
Yeah.
in itself. Is amazing to be a finalist in all of those categories. So she's no stranger to the speed wall. And did Gracie just get, was it second or third in sport just now? Is it unofficial, official? Should I not mention it?
It's official, but I feel like it's so long ago that I can barely remember what happened. Grace
finished.
She did take second, yeah,
okay,
because she finished the route.
Second.
I remember that now.
So we'll see if she can get another podium for speed as well. Double podiums.
That'd be awesome.
That was a good time by Grace. Wow.
7.69 for Grace McKeehan. Excuse me, 6.53.
Wow.
6.53 on the left route. That's really good.
I wish we had a scoreboard up here.
Yeah, again, I'll remind the crowd that for a 10-meter wall, the fastest time that I'm seeing ever recorded, at least here in this country, is by Sidney Trinidad at 5.74. So less than a second slower, or faster rather, than Grace's time. So who knows?
Speaking of Sidney Trinidad, our defending speed climbing national champion is out on the wall. Sidney Trinidad will be running on the left side of the wall first against Claire Buhrfeind on the right.
Claire with a 4th place finish in the difficulty finals, down from 3rd place the last 2 years. She had a disappointing final throw to the jug and she missed it, which was a little surprising because she did have the height advantage.
Yes.
However, often that means it's kind of bunchy.
Yes.
Ready?
Sidney on the left, Claire on the right. They are neck and neck right now. Claire just going to take it, I think, with a 5.90.
5.9. Hands to the head. She is surprised by that.
Second.
Wow.
Separating the two.
Crazy. That's almost Sydney's best time. Her best time is 5.74.
Yeah.
Those are the fastest times we've seen so far in this final for the women. So one of these two is going to be our national champion for speed climbing. They will get one more run in at the best time out of the two will be their score.
This is the race for first or second.
Wow.
Our top 2 qualifiers from yesterday's qualifying round. You would expect to see them do the best here in finals.
Climbers, at your marks.
Here we go, Claire Buhrfeind on the left, Sidney Trinidad on the right for the national championship.
Wow, what a start by Claire.
She is just motoring right now. Wow. Incredible run from Claire Buhrfeind. 5.64 from Claire Buhrfeind.
That's faster than the time I have written down by Sidney Trinidad as a record.
Might be the
Claire Buhrfeind is going to be your 2016 speed climbing national champion.
And that could be a record.
That could be a record.
Hard to say.
For the females, yeah. It's hard
unofficial,
to say, but unofficial record right there is what we see here.
Great job from Claire Buhrfeind.
Jeez.
Wow.
So, Josh, one question I have when I watch the speed finals is, it seems like all of the fastest competitors skip at least one of the holds. The one that's kind of on the right.
Yes.
Why? Why is that there, and what's going on?
You know, when they designed the route, I don't know if they had an exact, this is the sequence that it's going to happen in. So it's just, it happens to be faster by skipping it, and over the years people have developed different sequences, different foot sequences to become faster, and people catch on and they do that, and then somebody takes away another foot, you know, and they're like, whoa, he just broke a record without that foot. And the same thing on the 50-meter wall as well. There's a hole that nobody uses. It's like way out in left field. And
got it.
So, yeah.
Yep. When we were just seeing some views of Claire Buhrfeind celebrating her win, bouncing back from probably a disappointing for her 4th place finish in the difficulty finals. Great to see that she saw some success here.
Yes.
And actually,
on the podium.
And we have the Bimini.
Slept on this technical that happened before.
We do have one more.
Bimini and Erica getting a second chance here at their second run, but it is not going to be enough to eclipse Claire Buhrfeind.
Did the timers not work to them?
The timers did not actually work again.
Oh, no. The 2 times the timers didn't work was for the same pair. That's crazy.
It's actually a break for Erica
doing
there.
Hand timers down there to back this up at all, so they don't have to run for a 4th time.
That certainly wouldn't be fair, though, would it? I mean, a hand timer? What else are you going to do?
Yeah, I don't know. It's also not fair to run 4 times versus 2, but
good point.
I'm not really sure.
Good point.
Technical difficulties.
What are the odds that it would happen again on the same pair after the last few pairs of women went?
Apparently
not,
I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, bummer. They must be bummed and just laughing, I guess.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, well, maybe we're going to be chilling for another 5.
Yeah.
Smoke if you got them.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
do have our lead climbing and speed climbing award presentations coming up as soon as we wrap up the speed climbing round. Should be very soon. We'll have the trophy and check presentations, the all-important paycheck.
That's right, Brian. I do believe that $20,000 is at stake.
See them preparing the podium there. Seems like another good opportunity to thank the entire Central Rock team this weekend for helping put on 2016 and 2015 rope sport and speed national championships. Really supportive community around here. Very friendly folks. Really appreciate them and all their help putting on this event. It would not be possible without the help of the entire gym and just a slew of volunteers making everything run very smoothly, from ISO to belaying to judging. Takes an army out there to put these events on, so big thanks to everybody out there for making
Excuse me while
a success. I don't know what's going on here in the booth.
Josh Larson and I are just trading Snapchats here.
Yeah, man.
We're now, friends.
Whoops.
Still trying to figure out exactly what is going to happen there with the.
It's kind of the standard
Bimini
moment
versus
in all
Erica.
of these competitions where they're not quite sure what's going on.
Yeah.
Things are happening.
Yeah. That's when Snapchat's the best. So they'll probably just get some things ready for the award ceremony while they're waiting for this to happen. And
so we're going to take a look at our results again here. I think coming into finals, we expected Sean Bailey as the favorite to come out on top, and that's exactly what happened. Kyle Lightner not able to defend his title from last year, but still a great performance by him just behind Sean. Ben Tresco, a really great performance by him, coming from a 21st place qualifying position yesterday into a 3rd place podium finish for him. So really big congratulations to him.
yeah, Ben was talking to me in qualifiers the other day about how he wasn't feeling that well, and it's cool to see him bounce back.
For the women, Margo Hayes winning her first national championship. Grace McKeehan, Michaela Kiersch rounding out the podium. You'll see one name missing from that list. That's Delaney Miller. She finishes in 12th position. Really crushing result for her. Making a mistake low on the finals route. Not able to give herself a chance, really, to defend her title, unfortunately.
One other surprise for me in this competition, actually, after seeing qualifiers and semis, Brian, was seeing Drew Ruana in 5th. He certainly did have a very strong finish, but yeah, that Ben Tresco and Elan got ahead of him was a little surprising.
Yeah, I don't know if the finals route really suited his strengths, maybe. He didn't seem real comfortable. And we actually saw a lot of the men looking very uncomfortable on the route. It was really hard.
Yes.
Kind of made everyone a little humbled, I think, out there.
Sure. Well, yeah, what's your take on how the men's field ended up, Josh?
I think that middle section was just, I think it was a bit harder than the boys expected. Like I think they got there and they were like, wow, these crimps are bad.
Yeah.
I have to turn it on, and sometimes doing that like mid-route after getting surprised is hard to do, and the guys that can do it did better. They pulled through it. But yeah, I think the route worked out well. There was good separation. Would have been great to see somebody round that corner up around the North Face banner to the top, but
sure would.
Definitely a hard route, and it's always hard to set for this field of guys that are so strong. And
we talked with Brett about that before finals started. The route setters, they kind of do their best to put out a canvas for the climbers to perform on. You don't know exactly what's going to happen, and you kind of get the result that you get sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
And if anything, the women's route was certainly easier than the semi route, and possibly almost too easy.
It looked at it. They broke up a lot of the field in that top 3-hold section,
which did make for an exciting comp, actually.
It did.
Yeah,
it was cool.
I was expecting more tops, actually, after seeing some of the early competitors come out. You would have thought that Kyra and Michaela and Claire would have been able to finish the route too, and they actually weren't able to do it.
Yeah, I had thought the top 6 girls would have finished the route after seeing the other couple girls do it as well.
Yeah. So I guess, in effect, that was almost the ideal route, because we did get to see the ladies climb a lot,
Yep.
and there still was good enough separation. didn't have to count back to semifinals, which we had to do in the last 2 years. So, yeah.
We had 2 climbers fall off the finish hold going forward, so that's always exciting.
Yeah, I'd say overall excellent route setting. Would have been nice to see the guys get just a little higher, but hey, I mean,
it's still a show.
It's a show, and it was a great one. We had guys flying off of crimps, pinches, feet slipping, all sorts of stuff going on.
What a cool opening move for the guys too. Just a little dyno jump just to get their jitterbugs out.
That's
a
it.
cool
Yeah.
move.
Seeing the athletes amassing for the trophy presentation here. Secretly, one of the more difficult things to do is to get a bunch of climbers to get in position for an award ceremony where they're about to receive money.
That's true.
Secretly difficult at these events. Like herding cats.
Meow. Margo Hayes there, our 2016 national champion for sport climbing. She was in second place last year. She has now taken the title. It is not a surprise. The only big surprise there was that our champion defender, Delaney Miller, did fall low. But Margo Hayes certainly deserves to be on the top. Great showing. She finally felt it all, even though she says she had a rough week mentally. She broke through that to the top.
Yep.
For the men, Sean Bailey, we kind of joked with him all weekend about how he's a dark horse because he hasn't really competed on the adult stage very much, but he's obviously an incredible climber, and he's very accomplished in the youth circuit and outdoors as well, where people just maybe haven't heard of him as much. But Josh, were you surprised at all how he performed this weekend?
I wasn't. You know, I've seen him come up through the ranks and through the World Cups and through the Youth World Cups. And yeah, the kid's got it, man. He's right on, and if he can find his groove and his rhythm, it's over, man. He's a very talented climber.
Can you recall any other surprises during the difficulty comp, Josh?
I was actually a little surprised with Shane's. I know that Shane had a lot more in him, and it looked like he got a little frazzled there on the crimps or something. And it was too bad. His home crowd, I was rooting for him to get up that wall for sure.
You think he might have gotten a little overexcited, maybe? Just a little too amped?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that could be one of the factors.
Are we going to see you here next year, Josh?
I'll be back for sport. I really like it. I got to do it more, man. My first qualifier route I was a little nerve-wracked. You know, I haven't been on the wall in a while, and for a sport competition, and it's crazy the nerves that it can bring you, versus bouldering or something you're comfortable with.
Well, it's also a very short turnaround. Bouldering Nationals was only about 6 weeks ago.
Yes.
So it's, not a very long ramp-up time between bouldering and sport climbing seasons.
Right. Yeah, and you finish off Bouldering Nationals, and you're kind of like, okay, I have all these tools that I've trained for. I want to go bouldering outside.
Yeah.
So, you go out
kind
bouldering.
Kind of peaking bouldering-wise.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to go put on a harness. Nobody wants to do that.
Hey, now.
Oh, there's a sport climber in our midst.
That's right. Yeah, bouldering's actually hard. I mean, at least with sport climbing, there's moves that are often possible to do.
Or you can at least you can take.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, you can take.
That's right. Yeah.
That's the part I miss the most when I'm bouldering. Can't take.
Well, what's funny to me is, I think a lot of boulderers don't like sport climbing in part because it is scary being off the ground and falling and that kind of thing. But to me, it's a lot scarier to fall onto the ground every time. Don't get me wrong, I'm still scared when I'm on a rope too.
Yeah, right.
But bouldering, I feel like there's real risk going on every time. And with sport climbing, it's like, unless something catastrophic happens, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the bouldering, they throw out wacky moves at you, crazy dynos, bad holds where you can pull your, tendons and things like that. And the falls for sure. And sport is just about that resistance training, and there's difficult moves, as we can see, like some of the guys maybe didn't expect those hard moves in the middle of the finals today. And sometimes if you didn't prepare for those hard moves, you get kind of shocked by them.
That actually happened in semis to a few of the guys too. They maybe weren't as familiar with those pipe holds, and they were not anticipating them to be as bad as they were, and they just kind of slipped off. They lost their feet, and that was it.
Right. Yeah, those pipe holds, like I was saying earlier, they're just all different. They're different grips, so you don't really know exactly how it's going to feel until you grab it.
We are still awaiting our award ceremony. It looks like the speed comp is over since they've dimmed the lights over there.
Yeah, what do you think happened then with Bimini and Erica?
I don't know. I wonder if they let the competitors decide if their first times were good, or maybe they did do backup hand timers.
Sure.
I'm not sure what the rules are there.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine even a backup hand timer being accurate enough because it really is coming down to the hundredths of a second.
Right.
But yeah, what else are you going to do?
I think what they do is they take 2 hand timers per route and they average the time between the two. And I think it's a better way to be accurate there.
And there's another look, just a quick glance here at our sport national champions. That was the men's finals and the women's finals.
Sounds like we are nearing the moment we've been waiting for. The award ceremony here, the 2016 Sport and Speed National Championships. All right, let's go down to the floor and wrap for our award presentation.
People, it is about that time. We are going to announce the winners of the 2016 USAC Sport and Speed Open Nationals. We're going to start things off in the sport category, starting with the ladies. In third place and taking home the prize purse of $1,000, give it up for Michaela Kiersch. In second place and taking home $1,500, give it up for Grace McKeehan. And finally, in first place and taking home the grand prize of $3,000, your new national champion, Margo Hayes. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for your female champions in the 2016 USAC Sport National Open Championship. Moving on to the guys. In third place and taking home $1,000, Ben Isaac Tresco. In second place and taking home $1,500, Lightner. And in first place, taking home grand prize of $3,000 in his first ever adult national championship, Sean Bailey. Sean is now being given his trophy as your new national champion. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the guys. And we're going to move right along to our speed category. In third place for the ladies, taking home $250. Give it up for Erica Meister. In second place, taking home the prize purse of $500, Sidney Trinidad. And introducing your new Speed National Champion, taking home the grand prize of $1,000, Claire Buhrfeind. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the ladies. Moving on to the guys. In third place, taking home $250, Max Hammer. In second place, taking home $500, and your reigning Speed National Champion, John Brosler. And in first place, taking the grand prize of $1,000, give it up for Libor Rosa. People, once more, give it up for the guys. And all of our winners, both sport and speed, here at the 2016 USAC Sport Speed Open Nationals. Thank you very much, guys. And thank you all very, very much for coming out for the last 2 days and supporting USA Climbing in this, the Sport and Speed Open National Championship. We'll see you all again next year. Please drive safely, and we'll see you then.
And once again, congratulations to all our champions tonight, Margo Hayes and Sean Bailey, winning the lead national championships, and in speed climbing, Claire Buhrfeind and Libor Rosa coming out on top with John Brosler taking the national championship for the men. Wow, Chris, it's been an incredible weekend.
It went so fast. That was so exciting. Many surprises, a few blunders, and lots of fun and smiles all around. A great time here in Watertown, Massachusetts.
Yeah, big thanks to the entire Central Rock community for their support and their work this weekend, all the volunteers, USA Climbing, the entire LT11 crew. Couldn't do without you guys. Until next time, Chris. So long, everybody. Good night. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much, you guys.
Louder Than 11 is in the business of storytelling. Rather than just providing a live streaming service, we use broadcast as a medium to tell vivid stories. Our creative productions provide an experience that focuses on the heart of an event. We use innovative technology to tell stories that would otherwise not be told.